welcome to The Big Story tonight. Thanks very much for joining us. I'm Yvonne Okwara Matole. Tonight, 4 National Assembly Committee chairpersons go down in record for being voted out even before they ever began their work. The parliamentarians, Alfred Keter, Silas Tiren, Kangogo Bowen and Mwangi Gakuya were forced out of the leadership positions through votes of no confidence, following what their party termed as a, quote, failure to toe the line. Addressing the media soon after the acrimonious ouster of Labour and Social Welfare Committee Chair Alfred Keter, Leader of Majority Aden Duale issued a stern warning, saying that the party would not tolerate actions that seemed to undermine the efforts of their party leader Uhuru Kenyatta, hinting on the much-talked-about blatant interference of the legislature by the executive. So tonight on The Big Story we ask, will Parliament and the National Assembly, for that matter, play its oversight role independently? We seek the answer to that on The Big Story tonight. All right, we want to begin by listening to Alfred Keter when he addressed the Labour Committee this morning, moments before the vote of no confidence in him was passed.
Because the ground should have been that we are incapable of leading. We have no ability to preside, to chair the committee. They are not raising questions of ability. They are questions outside the vote of no confidence. So it is very unfortunate even for us to proceed with the vote of no confidence, because it is touching on grounds that are totally or completely out of what they are raising. Because the regional balancing, it is not my responsibility as Keter to balance Kenya in terms of the committees, or even Labour as a committee. It is the responsibility of all of us to see leadership in individuals so that you elect in terms of their capability to lead, in terms of their drive, so that they ensure that Kenyans are valued for their money.
All right, so we'd like to state here on The Big Story that we did extend an invitation to Member of Parliament Alfred Keter to be part of this program. He had confirmed his attendance and was due to speak with our lead reporter Sophia Wanuna, but he turned us down at the very last moment, only less than an hour ago. So let's speak to Sophia Wanuna, our lead reporter, on this tonight before we start speaking to my guests. Sophia, good evening. This is definitely a big story that's been brewing since December. But before we get into how we got here, just bring us up to date with what happened today.
Good evening, Yvonne. As you highlighted, then mentioned, we were scheduled to have and speak to the Nandi Hills Member of Parliament, Alfred Keter, this evening. But just about an hour ago, he called in saying he was unable to make for the interview. And speaking of exhaustion, and that he didn't have time with his family. So this was just about an hour ago, and he was scheduled to do another interview as well. But what his political friends, quote unquote, I would say, are speaking to his intervention following his appearance earlier today in Parliament, and the statements that were made by him as well as the leader of the majority in the National Assembly. So there is a sense of trying to get the House in order. But today, the Member of Parliament did appear before the Labour Committee, for which he had been elected chair. And the 4 committees, as you did mention, there are 4 individuals that are in question or find themselves at loggerheads with the President's party. That's the Jubilee Party. That's the Labour Committee. You have Agriculture, as well as the Committee on Environment, also the Library and Broadcasting Committees. 3 of them chairs, 1 of them the Vice Chair. their position. And this is because the party found that these individuals should not be the heads of these committees in the interest of balancing, if you like, what they're describing as ensuring the face of Kenya is represented in as far as their party politics and how it plays out in as far as leadership at the committee levels in the National Assembly is concerned. So the now chair, who has been found to not be rightfully in that position through that motion of no confidence in the Jubilee Party, being de-whipped by the party, that's Alfred Keter, arguing, and we've just had moments ago some of the argument he made in that proceedings and later in a press briefing was that it cannot be upon him as a member of parliament or even a committee in the National Assembly to equate or find that equal balance in the country, that is a formula that needs to be figured out in a different fashion, and that for the party to then de-whip him and go against him in this way is a contradiction in as far as democracy, of what is understood to be the democracy within the party. And Yvonne, this has come on the backdrop of immense talks and interventions, even by the deputy president, calling these individuals, trying to just get them to cede ground. And largely it had been expected this would happen, but they stayed put, fighting it out, saying that within their committees, they had the confidence of their members, and their members had decided that they should be the ones to head these various committees. However, the party disagreeing. And we also heard from the leader of majority, Aden Duale, saying that this kind of disobedience or going against the wishes of the party, when categorically the president has made it clear the manner and way in which the party will go forward and their agenda, and as far as their layout and leadership and what they're looking to achieve, that when members go against that, it's inappropriate. And so disquiet in the president's party tonight, Yvonne, and it will be interesting to see how it does play out in coming days.
Yes, and you mentioned that there had been interventions that were made on the part of the executive, the deputy president and the president himself stepping in to speak to these members. And we know, Sophia, that they also went to court in December seeking an injunction on their ouster.
Yes, Yvonne, they did last year, moving to court. And thinking about that, one will remember the sentiments by retired Judge Kriegler from South Africa, who was just speaking yesterday on the LSK Colloquium, talking about how politics should be left to the political sphere, that when politicians then move to court to seek for injunctions on processes that should be agreed internally, then there's a problem. And this is one of those classic examples, because when the party did indicate clearly that they were intent on having these members de-whipped and not seating in the capacities they had been elected in their committees, they moved to court, and the court giving an injunction, that stay order for them to still continue to function in their positions. Up until now, with the party now reaching that position, that they have all been found in breach of the proceedings and the agreement in as far as the laws and the agreement the party had going forward, that there's a motion of no confidence on each and every one of them. But Keter vehemently arguing that when you look at what is in place in as far as being found to be a motion of no confidence to be passed against an individual, he in no way meets any of the criteria, whether it is in absconding duty, whether it is any of the other criteria laid out. None of them qualifies for this being found on him. So will they continue to seek legal interpretation and protection, if you like? And as far as this matter is concerned going forward, we will wait to see. And also a big question will be, what then is the import of that stay order, or what they'd been able to attain from the courts in light of this de-whipping by the party? What stands, what weighs more, and what is the final word? So this is one of the intricacies of democracy and where those very thin lines, it appears in this particular case. We'll wait to see how they're navigated by the party itself, but also by these members. Are these cracks that will begin and perhaps speak to even more detriment for the Jubilee Party, which has largely been solid? You remember initially it was TNA, URP, then coming together with several other parties deciding to be part of. And but also, speaking of the Member of Parliament, Alfred Keter, remember in the lead-up to the general election and during the campaigns, he was one of those dissenting voices in the Rift Valley against the deputy president. And literally, the DP had to go in and settle those waters because he, alongside Mandago, was seen to be slowly aligning to then Nasser. But that is a storm that did not quite see the light of day as matters were settled quickly. So this is a very vocal Member of Parliament. He's one who will not take things lying down, and it will be one to wait to see and watch how it plays out, Yvonne, in coming days.
What you talked about with respect to this man, Alfred Keter, and you talked about what happened in the lead-up to the August general election, but really some would say this is chicken coming home to roost, because we remember him being quite vocal even after the 2013 general election. I mean, some will remember the complaints he had about, you know, how they were sharing out the positions between then TNA and URP. Does this seem like finally a moment to seemingly teach him a lesson?
Perhaps it may be internally, but this is a person, the party, to their interest because of the vocal nature in which he functions and practices his politics, if you like, would not want to antagonize, because you remember even today, early in his press conference, he talked about a dossier that he's in possession of. We are waiting to see what details, whatever they may be in that dossier, but talking about a meeting that happened in State House, that even the Speaker of the National Assembly was in attendance and several other leaders, just speaking to what he describes as whatever people may view and see outside as democracy within Jubilee Party is not the case. So Alfred Keter, Nandi Hills Member of Parliament, is one that does not fear or shy away from going into the arena of quote-unquote war politically. And in this particular scenario, he's there and he's ready to speak. He's ready to speak about what he sees as the ills or the issues within the Jubilee Party. And this, you can tell clearly, is one issue that's not been taken lightly within the party, because no less, the majority leader also coming now to address this disquiet in the party and directly speak to the Member of Parliament, saying that these processes that have taken place in as far as de-weeping and finding that they're not rightfully in their positions in as far as being elected chair, deputy chair, and we had Duale quoting other democracies, and these are issues and scenarios that are seen to play out elsewhere, and that is not unique to Kenya. So it will be one of those, Yvonne, that Alfred Keter will keep talking, will speak until he sees that his voice is being heard, the issues he wants to articulate are being addressed. And he's from the Deputy President's backyard. Remember, the Deputy President 2022 is what is being seen to be the most clearest ambition ahead of him. And so to ensure the waters are quietened and are still heading into that is important. And earlier during our bulletins, we got to hear from the residents in Rift Valley and mixed reactions. Yvonne, there are those that are supporting Alfred Keter, saying that he should not be targeted. They see it as being targeted, saying if he was elected by his peers to chair this committee, then the party cannot go against the will of the people. Then there are those who say the deputy president, who is the kingpin in the region, his word is final, and therefore a member of parliament being seen not to toe the line is a member that should be disciplined, and rightfully so, through the measures that were taken through the party in de-whipping him in this particular instance. So a lot playing out in the president's party, and definitely, Yvonne, we have not seen the last of it.
Yeah, certainly. We will definitely hear more on this. Thank you very much. Sophia Wanuna joining us live from the Central Business District. Like we said, she was to speak to Alfred Ketere himself, but he turned us down at the very last moment, despite having confirmed his appearance on the big story tonight. Sophia, thank you. We want to now talk to the Chief Whip of the ruling Jubilee Party, and he joins me on phone. That's Honorable Benjamin Washiali. We'll get to take a look and put names and faces to those chairpersons that have been ousted today. But let's first speak to the Chief Whip, if we have him already on phone, and then we can start that conversation. Do we have him on phone? Mheshimiwa Washiali, good evening. Can you hear me?
Good evening. I'm hearing you.
Thank you very much for speaking with us. Let's get straight into it. The issue of regional balance has been cited in the ouster of these 4 chairs of these committees. Some see it differently. Could you explain to us the reasoning behind it?
First of all, I want to take this opportunity to thank you, Yvonne Okwara, for inviting me this program, The Big Story. And quickly, as the party leader say, that it's unfortunate that we are handling matters that are meant to be party matters in public, and that should not have been our wish as the leaders of Jubilee Party. But quickly, now that we are where we are, I will quickly say that we are here because of members of our party who do not, who are not respectful and who are not honest with the party. Because we, as the members of Parliament of Jubilee, we had a PG on 13th of December, chaired by our party leader, Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta, and parliamentary group meeting, which is an organ of Jubilee Party, had a resolution to make. And the resolution that we agreed upon as the party, that as we get into appointing and identifying the leadership of committees, we should be inclusive, and we should also be having a regional balance to be seen clearly from the leadership. And if I went slightly in the background, that this is what Kenyans have been complaining about, a lack of equity on quite a number of issues and lack of inclusiveness. And that's what we wanted to address, and that's why we called for this PG, so that we can negotiate with our brothers and sisters who are in Parliament to make sure that we don't end up having the leadership of committees centralized in one particular place. And our most, the fears that we had was where we had more members of Parliament. And that's why we thought that we should go for negotiated democracy, so that in areas where we also had some fair support, we will get some representation. And in areas where we had serious support, like Rift Valley and Central and Eastern, we also have to look at the kind of support that we had, so that all those parameters are brought on board. Therefore, we agreed. And all members who are present, including our brother Ketere and all the other members who now later on went against the position, we all agreed in one voice that we are going to support the resolutions made in the parliamentary group meeting.
Okay.
And for us as the leaders, the whips, we have to follow what we have resolved, and that's why we as a leadership and the whip, in my position as a whip, I have to make sure that what has been resolved at the PG is adhered to, and that's what we are following as we speak now.
Okay.
Maybe if I just had added one more statement. If we looked at the elections of Yala, where even our brothers were citing that Yala elections was not fair because we had our brothers from the northeastern, two brothers and one sister who had a bigger share in comparison to other areas of this country. You will realize that because there was no negotiated democracy, that's why we had to go that way, because we relied on members while voting for the members of Yala to be fair and have a proper balanced representation to Yala.
Okay, Mheshimiwa, allow me to interject. I think you've made your point on regional balance, but where does that leave the position of members of parliament going into the House and voting with their conscience, despite what may have been agreed at the PG? Because some are saying this goes to show that the executive or persons from outside the House are interfering with decisions that are made by members of parliament, considering that these committees are bipartisan, are they not? It's not just Jubilee members. I mean, there's members from other parties as well, but this seems to be the Jubilee party literally forcing its decision down the throat of members of parliament, who we assume by the time they go into parliament, some of the decisions they make are based on their own conscience.
Yvonne, I've heard that statement come up again and again of how the executive has interfered with the running of parliament or the independence of parliament. But I want to say here that when we are meeting Honorable His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, we don't meet him as the president. We meet him as the party leader. And when we are meeting the deputy party leader, Honorable William Ruto, we don't meet him in his capacity as the deputy president, but we meet him in his capacity as the deputy party leader. Therefore, it's a thin line, and many people have confused that to now maybe try to malign the name of the executive that they are trying to dictate upon the independence of parliament. I want to say that there is a very thin line between His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya and the party leader of Jubilee Party, because there is no time those things are not close. There is no time he puts on this and then he removes the other one. It is one and the same thing, and we want the public to understand that when he is meeting us as members of Jubilee, he meets us in his capacity as the party leader of Jubilee and not the president.
All right. What of the court process? Because Honorable Alfred Keter went to court last December seeking a suspension of the process of removal, and that injunction is in place. But yet this morning, all four chairs were ousted. What's your take on the judiciary versus the legislature and trying to sort of sort out issues that take place within Parliament?
Yes. Actually, I wanted to use Standing Order number 176, which gives me express authority as a whip to remove them from those committees because they had erred by going against the resolution of the PG. But when that could not work because of the interjection of the court, we now discussed with the members and agreed that whatever resolution that had been agreed upon at the PG must stand. And that's why we now used Standing Order number 193 to make sure that the members who are equally disfranchised just the way we are, to make sure that they put in a vote of no confidence so that they remove them as leaders of those committees. This is the route we have now taken, and that is now working because that is not before the court. And just to maybe also conclude on this, we want to push as much as we can because as Jubilee, we promise the Kenyans that we will share whatever else that comes our side. But if at the end of the day, the court will stop us from doing that. The people who would have benefited from these positions would understand that we tried our best. Because even when the president passed on the 8th of August, still the court decided we have to go back to elections, and that's what we did. So if today the court said that we have to choose Alfred Keter as the chair of Labour, we will tell the people of Mombasa, the coastal people, that we tried to get to share these positions, but the court refused, and that's why you have missed this position. Therefore, for us, we will be protected, and we will move as far as it can take to make sure that the position that was negotiated for coast, it goes to coast, Northeastern goes to Northeastern, and Nyamira goes to Nyamira.
All right. What do you say to Kenyans today who are watching what is happening? Because this certainly affects everybody. This ceases to be an internal party issue when it comes to the floor of the House where, Kenyans are represented. And these committees certainly have a mandate to look into a myriad of issues that Kenyans want addressed on a day-to-day basis. So what would you say to them? Because it looks like there are certain people, perhaps, that you may have in mind when you're talking about regional balance. Then we're hearing of members of these committees who then wrote to the Speaker saying they were of unsound mind at the time they made these decisions, which, by the way, is grounds for disqualification for all of these MPs who participated in this process when they say they were supposedly of unsound mind. What are Kenyans to make of what's happening within the party and how this would affect their day-to-day lives? Because this is their representation in Parliament.
Yvonne, in fact, to just comment on that remark of unsound mind, that is quite unfortunate that it was coming from a leader. And, if today someone claimed that for me, Honorable Ashali, I'm with unsound mind, that would be also an abuse to the people of Mumias East, because they would have elected someone who is of unsound mind. And I think that is not fair coming from the leader. My caliber of leadership does not allow me to call or rather otherwise look down upon any other leader. And therefore, I just want to ask my brother, Honorable Alfred Keter, that if he wants to be respected, he should also respect the other leaders. And the other question, the earlier question you had asked about what I would need to tell Kenyans, I think this is an eye-opener, because even now, as we are in Parliament, we still are grappling with the issue of gender. The issue of gender, where Kenyans, knowing clearly that we need to have a third of either gender in National Assembly, where we need to have had ladies or men gender of a third, we still, because we allowed it for Kenyans to make decisions. Up to the day, we are still grappling on how to have this solved. And I had also given you the example of Yala. Yvonne, if we want to correct the issue of regional balance, we must be able to negotiate. And I want to tell you that if we would have allowed all members, even in that committee of labor, to come out and vie, maybe even Alfred Guerrero will not have been a chair of that committee, because we have men and women of means, men and women who have what it takes to be chair. But because we guided, and it's only Alfred Guerrero who could not respect us, that's how he finds himself to be seen to be the one who is more superior. No, he is not, because we have men and women in that committee who are capable of drowning Keter in the morning if we allowed them to go that route. Therefore, I just want to say that this is an eye-opener, and I think for the rest of other Kenyans, we need to look at these bills again and see how we are going to manage these issues of gender and issues of regional balancing, so that there is a bill that can address all these things for now and in the future.
Okay, thank you very much. Benjamin Washiali, Member of Parliament and Chief Whip in the ruling Jubilee Party, for speaking with us on phone, de-whipping those members of Parliament. They have now been ousted from those parliamentary committees, an election to be held soon to decide on new chairs of the party. We continue with this conversation. It is our big story tonight. And we will be speaking after the break to two members of that Labour committee, and that is Honourable Wilson Sossion as well as Honourable Fabian Mully, who is now the interim chair. We'll be speaking a little bit more about this, and apparently the statement that Parliament has been quote-unquote infiltrated by trade unionists. We'll be speaking about this when we return here on The Big Story. Don't go away.